Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. This is a different type of entrepreneur for me. I hope my next guest doesn't mind me saying this. We had a guest on in multiple times years earlier, and now we have Mason Sagan from the Penny Candy Company, who acquired Penny Candy and has used that platform to grow the business. So welcome, Mason, and I look forward to hearing from you and all the changes going on under your leadership.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
And there's nothing better than candy.
That's right.
So tell us about your journey into entrepreneurship.
All four of my grandparents started their own businesses. So from a very young age, I sort of had that entrepreneurial spirit within me. My first business, probably in elementary school or even middle school, I went around collecting people's recycling bottles to get the 5 cents for the cans and bottles. Moving from there, I had a greeting card business. I was selling greeting cards. Then my brother and I started a baking business, and we sold for 3 years at our local farmers market. And we were the top selling bakery there, actually. Once I got into high school, I really found more of a niche, and I started a office supply and promotional products company. And throughout high school and college, I was running that company, and still to this day have it as a side business. But going to Babson College, following my entrepreneurial dreams and spirits and just my interests in supply chain and logistics, it really sort of propelled me to ultimately go right into the business world once I graduated college. And about 2 years ago, I ended up acquiring this candy distribution company. So it was a great opportunity for me at the time.
So it's interesting. You were in the food category. Was that what you were looking for? And how did you find Penny Candy? I mean, not everybody knows. Well, it's in a lot of stores, but how did you find it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. So I never thought, had you asked me, 5, 10 years ago, I never thought I would be in the candy business. And, I've always had more of a passion for cooking and baking. And that's ultimately where I think the baking business with my brother came in. But originally, I was actually looking for an office supply company to acquire. But if you know anything about that industry, there's really not many mom and pop players left. So I ultimately couldn't find any businesses that I thought would be a good fit. And when I expanded my search for more mainstream distribution companies, this penny candy store opportunity came up. I just found it online and, started looking into it. And that's ultimately how I got in contact with this business.
Did you represent yourself in the purchase?
No, I had some attorneys with me and some help.
And the person selling it, did he sell it himself or did he use a business broker?
He had a business broker as well.
Interesting. And he's all gone now, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful guy. I met him many times. Wonderful
Absolutely.
guy. So how do you see the candy business today? What's the future look like? I know my dentist probably doesn't like it.
It's very interesting. In the last 2 years, I've certainly learned a lot about the industry. And, one of the things that I've learned is people really want something different and something that's unique, and especially nostalgic and vintage candy. And that's really what penny candy itself is. At a lot of retailers, you see the mainstream chocolate and regular candy bars, but where we've sort of found a really good niche is in that vintage nostalgic items. Think things like wax bottles and satellite wafers and licorice laces, all those items.
Wax bottles with a sweet fluid in it.
That's right.
Yeah, I gotta get it right.
That's right. And candy necklaces. I mean, all these sort of nostalgic items that people haven't seen in years, they really love that. When they see that, they say, wow, this is great that it's actually back. And that's what we try to provide.
Well, I've always thought nostalgia candy was big, and I've always looked for nostalgia candy stores. There are some. I know there's some online purveyors. You're mostly selling through retail stores and online, correct?
Yes. So the majority of our business is definitely our wholesale division. We are primarily a repackaging company, and we distribute under our brand as well as do a significant amount of private label business for other retailers that want to get into selling nostalgic penny candy.
And it's a big industry, isn't it? I've worked with a few candy companies over my career. One of them in particular shocked me how large it was.
Yes, it's definitely a massive, massive industry. And, you know, the opportunities are really endless. I mean, America alone is just, people just love candy, and wherever they can find it, whether it's online or in a store, they're always willing to go after it.
Do you find that this time of year is the bigger time of year with vacations and in vacation areas of the country, that the penny candy is selling more now?
Absolutely. All of our retailers in touristy locations, by far, this is their season to sell all the penny candy.
It's like an ice cream business.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right. Do people put penny candies in ice cream? Do any of the manufacturers do that?
I don't know so much about the manufacturers, but we definitely have a lot of our retailers, we sell them gummy sharks, gummy Sour Patch Kids, all sorts of different items that they will definitely put on their ice cream topping bar, and the kids just go wild over it.
Right. Interesting. So you have a plan to expand the business in the next couple of years? What does that look like?
It's something that I think about every day. And, there's certainly a lot of areas for growth. I think for me, there's sort of two areas that I see the most growth. And the first is continuing the expansion of our wholesale network. As I mentioned, our retail partners are having tremendous success selling penny candy. And we really have been able to work with a lot of these partners to provide them with a program that has been doing well for them. So I think that's definitely a big area for growth, is to expand that network. And I think the second thing would be to look into going more for e-commerce and selling candy online. The majority of candy is still sold in stores today, but that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for more candy to be transacted online.
Interesting. Just an interesting business. Now you have staff working for you. I assume how are you working the whole production line of the business? I
Yes,
remember originally there, I remember going into the warehouse and I thought it was a family member bagging products.
yes. I have a great team of people that work with me, and I have about 12 employees now. Um, and yes, the majority, almost all of what we do is hand packaged. A lot of these nostalgic candies, they cannot be packaged on a machine just because of the way they arrive to us and the way that they're, wax bottles. It's very fragile. It would break in a lot of machines. So
And they're in bulk.
exactly. So we are hand packaging the majority of our items. And it's great.
Just to remind everybody, we're speaking with Mason Sagan, Penny Candy Company. And again, he acquired the company a few years back. Mason, if somebody's looking for Penny Candy Company or you, how would they find you?
The best place would be either at our retail store in Sharon or on our website at pennycandy.com, as well as in many retailers in the New England area.
Well, I will say I have been to your warehouse about 3 times. And if you want a real treat and a real sugar high, stop by Sharon. It's great. And I want to thank you for being on the show today. And Mason, I hope you come back again with Penny Candy.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great.
Great. Thanks for being on the show again. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back on Radio Entrepreneurs.